The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. At that time, Jesus exclaimed, I give praise to you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, for although you have hidden these things from the wise and the learned, you have revealed them to the little ones. Yes, Father, such has been your gracious will. All things have been handed over to me by my Father. No one knows the Son except the Father, and no one knows the Father except the Son, and anyone to whom the Son wishes to reveal him. Come to me, all you who labor and are burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am meek and humble of heart, and you will find rest for yourselves. For my yoke is easy and my burden light. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
The word revealed comes up twice in the Gospel that we just heard. Jesus says, things hidden from the wise, the sophisticated, the learned, will be revealed to the simple little ones. And secondly, to anyone who wants to really know Jesus, he says the Father will reveal himself to us. Not too long ago, there was a member of our parish who was our Director of Religious Education, Lee Lavicek, and actually she was here this morning for the 7:30 Mass. And she told me a story that she was going to a celebration, and she was going to a reveal party. So I never knew what a reveal party was. I said, what does it mean? So she said, well, my daughter's pregnant, and she and my son-in-law are having a dinner for the reveal of the gender. Oh, I never heard that. So today we hear that Jesus reveals to us that, as we sang in that opening song, Here I Am, that we should come to him and take on his yoking, you might say, his joining with us, learning from him, so that we can rest assured that life won't always be perfect, but that in him the yoke is easier and the burdens are lighter when we rest and trust. So you will find rest, Jesus says. There was a story in yesterday's online edition of the New York Times that actually connects to this gospel passage. And the story was about the importance of sleep and the importance of rest. So this homily is entitled Rest and Relaxation in Jesus. So when you think about it, it's nice to be able to come to church and to hear both the invitation and the challenge to relax, to rest in Jesus, instead of all the other demands that we ordinarily would hear of living the gospel and being a Christian that require of us, such as turning the other cheek, loving the neighbor, carrying the cross, forgiving as we have been forgiving, all those challenging words. Today we get these comforting, supporting, soothing words of hope. However, in our stress-ridden, productive-driven, fast-paced, workaholic society, some people consider rest a four-letter word with negative connotations. People say, time is money. Therefore, we can think that rest is to waste time and therefore to lose money. And some people feel that's the be-all and end-all. But other people, however, welcome rest as a necessary, absolutely necessary pause to relax, to refresh, to renew. And isn't that what we do every Sunday when we come to hear the Scriptures, to celebrate the Eucharist, and to go forth and to bring that message into the world? When you think about it, the very fact that our divinely fashioned human bodies have these biological clocks that automatically incorporate a time for rest into each 24-hour period, that would obviously point to its value, necessity of taking the time to slow down and rest. Moreover, the fact that Jesus promised rest to those who would come to him and learn from him underscores the necessity and the important place of rest in every person's life, but especially in the life of us as his disciples. Come to me, all you who are weary, and I will refresh you. And so in extending this promise, this invitation of rest, Jesus is drawing on this rich theological theme that was deeply rooted in biblical traditions, namely that rest has been part of our Judeo-Christian practice of relating to God, interacting with God for countless centuries. Israel was instructed to sanctify itself, to sanctify life on this earth, and to consecrate a day of rest to the Lord, even at the harvest time and other periods of intense work. So Israel called this day, this day set aside as Shabbat or Sabbath, and it's the idea of this holy rest, which really was unlike any other nation in the world at that time. The root of the word Sabbath means to cease and to desist. In other words, to cease our work life for a little bit of time, maybe a day, and break our daily routine with a period of holy reflection, time with the family, time coming to celebrate the Eucharist, whatever it might be, to set this time, this day aside. True rest isn't passivity, but it is the fulfillment of activity. And so this time of rest here below on earth that we need to take is the foretaste of eternity in the reign of God. So we stop to know that God is God, and we allow a little time for our values to be rethought, our priorities to be set, and our attitudes to be adjusted or readjusted. However, for those of us who allow anxiety and guilt over unfinished workload to prevent us from seeking rest and pausing to rest that refreshes and renews, a lesson could be learned from the world of music. As a kid, my mother made many of my 9 siblings take piano lessons. And we had this grand piano in the living room, which for me, it just took up play space. It was good for hide and seek, but that's about it. But we had to take this weekly lessons in series, with this very nice, sweet old lady. She was 45 at the time, Mrs. Alma Marshall. And so we would sit down at the piano, and she would play a song, and the music would be there. But I was still to this day, I was never able to read music. I pretended that I was reading the music, and I would play it by ear. But I do remember, as I was looking at the music sheet, recognizing one note, and that note was the note of rest, or that squiggle, that tiny top, or the thing on the line there. And the thing is, there's no music in a rest note, but there is the making of music in it. In the melody that is our life, music is punctuated here and there by rest that we may foolishly think of them as unnecessary pauses, interruptions, inconveniences, and even the end of the song, the end of the tune. So, in times of forced leisure, such as those caused by personal sickness, losing a loved one, disappointed plans, frustrated efforts, whatever it might be, we may regret that our voices must be silent and our parts be omitted from the music that cries out to the ear of the Creator above. Not without design does God write the music of our lives, but it's our job to learn the tune and to not be dismayed at the rest and the pauses and the squiggle signs that mean, wait, stop, pause, rest. There's a reason for the pauses. It makes better music and more fulfillment in the listening and the living of a life that is really the big, it's the big reveal. Rest and relaxation in Jesus. So I find this gospel very easy to preach about. It's not all that challenging, like loving your enemies and so on and so forth. But at least for me, and maybe for some of you, it's a very hard lesson to implement into busy, distracted lives. And yet the message is very clear. Come to me, all of us, come to me, all you who are weary and find life burdensome, and I will give you rest.